In this week's news, Child Abuse Commissioner addresses church leaders as the inquiry rolls on. Christian agencies pitch in with Europe's migrant crisis. And a non-stop prayer movement in officially atheist China.
This is InFocus Christian News and Current Affairs.
The head of the Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse has addressed Australia's National Council of Churches, outlining the Commission's progress and recommendations already made. Justice Peter McClellan noted the positive changes religious organisations have begun to make in response to the Royal Commission, but said that there needed to be a decided break with the traditional belief that children should be seen and not heard. The Commissioner gave a breakdown of the more than 16,000 allegations of abuse that have been made to the Royal Commission. 43% of these allegations have been directly linked to religious organisations, the Catholic Church foremost amongst them. Over the next 2 months, public hearings will commence into alleged abuses at Salvation Army and Melbourne Catholic institutions. The Royal Commission has not made its hearing schedule public beyond November. Justice McClellan said, however, that the Commission is due to complete its work by the end of 2017. The former head of an established Catholic order has been sentenced to prison for 4 years for common and indecent assaults on school students in the 1970s and 1980s. According to The Age, Julian Fox held senior roles at 2 Victorian colleges and misused his authority as disciplinarian to abuse the boys. In 1988, he was appointed head of the Salesians in Australia, an order devoted to the education and welfare of young people, particularly those who are disadvantaged. After allegations of the abuse came to light, Fox moved overseas for some years, but returned in 2013 to face criminal charges. New research from the University of Queensland suggests that women who drink alcohol around the time of conception may be increasing their child's risk of developing obesity and diabetes in later life. The study of laboratory rats found that it only took the rat equivalent of 5 standard drinks at the time of conception to produce offspring that struggled to properly regulate their blood sugar. In the light of statistics that show 50% of pregnancies are unplanned, an alcohol-free lifestyle as recommended by a number of religious groups may be the only safe way to go.
It is an animal study, there's no question about that. However, it's one more piece of the jigsaw puzzle that shows us over and over again the detrimental damage that alcohol does to the human body in so many different ways.
Christian organisations across Europe are pitching in to help as floods of migrants stream across or settle in their territory. Anglican churches have been conducting fundraising drives, and World Vision is on the ground in Serbia near the Hungarian border. The Adventist Development and Relief Agency, or ADRA, has been collecting food, clothes and other emergency supplies for newly arrived refugees in southern Europe, including 12.5 tons of donations for the crowds gathering on the Greek island of Lesbos. Local congregations are helping too, with some making church buildings available as emergency accommodation. Pope Francis has called on every Catholic parish and religious community in Europe to host a migrant family, saying that he'll lead the way by putting up 2 families at the Vatican. Meanwhile, Christians unable or unwilling to leave parts of Syria occupied by ISIS continue to face life and death choices. According to Christian Today, 250 Christians remaining in the town of Kiratiyan have been told they must not worship or display crosses publicly. They'll also need to pay a protection tax to ISIS. Most Syrian Christians from occupied areas have fled. According to the Catholic Herald, of the 1.2 million Christians living in the country before the civil war broke out in 2011, 450,000 have now left their homes. Syrian Catholic leaders fear that Christian numbers in the region will drop so low as to make the church unviable. They're begging for young Christians in particular to stay. Encouraged by European nations' generosity towards Syrian refugees, a church leader in Pakistan has written to the world's politicians asking them to open their hearts to Pakistani Christian asylum seekers. Dr. Nazir Bhatti, who heads up the Pakistan Christian Congress, says persecuted Pakistani Christians have been waiting for years in Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Thailand and other Southeast Asian countries for the United Nations to process their asylum claims. According to the Daily Pakistan, Dr. Bhatti is asking for a similar fast-tracking process currently being applied to Syrian asylum seekers by European countries, the US, Australia and elsewhere, to be made available to Pakistani Christians. For the last 6 years, Christians in northeast China have been involved in a non-stop prayer relay, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. According to CBN News, the prayer centre started June 2009. Since then, 617 churches from across China have signed up to pray 24 hours a day. The leaders of the prayer ministry say their purpose for the centre is for people to be able to reconcile with God, with other churches and with each other. The prayer centre has also opened a ministry school, which is training men and women to continue spreading the gospel. Although the United States presidential election is still more than a year away, there's plenty of commentary on the candidates. Among the Republican nominees, surprisingly, it's the two non-politicians who are ahead in the opinion polls. And according to a report by Christian Post, their religious beliefs have been part of the public discussion. Outspoken businessman Donald Trump says that he believes in God and that the Bible is his favourite book. However, when put on the spot, he declined to nominate his favourite Bible verse. Retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson has no problem quoting the Bible, but his religious identity as a Seventh-day Adventist has prompted a number of critical articles in mainstream media. It seems some pastors will do just about anything to raise funds for a worthy cause, if a Good News Network story from Nashville, Tennessee is any indication. Reverend Jeff Carr spent 45 days living in a tiny home that fits on the back of a trailer, vowing that he'd stay there until he'd raised $50,000. His efforts were successful. He used the money to build some more of the micro-houses that are now parked on church property and provide accommodation for a number of homeless people.
This is so cool. I mean, people are living in them and they get to stay in those. Yeah.
Thanks so much for your company this week. Don't forget, we have more great videos, news, views and interviews at our website, which of course is record.net.au. Until next time, take care of yourself and God bless.